the 19th. November 19th, about a week from Thanksgiving, Saturday the 19th, and this is I guess, not a live stream, because it's not, it is live, but, but it's not a live stream. Yeah, I just wanted a quick update thingy, channel, the main one, and some of the other ones, downloading a video, Clint Cowpoke music video, to the lesser channel, which we use for, it's just the smaller channel that we use for the Disney videos and suggestive ones, and ones we don't want the main channel necessarily to have, but the other ones can have it. The Chimera movie is still in planning stages. We were able to shoot the movie 2 weeks ago, footage from the movie after several months, and that was cool. And then we were, and Mark's Cars going on hiatus regarding the Thanksgiving couple of weeks here. Yeah, it looks like we have a poster back there. Looks like the poster that I printed up tentatively Wednesday the 13th of February 2017 for the launch of the movie. That's tentative, so could change. Valentine's Day would be an excellent Valentine to the fans for the movie. That'd be awesome. But yeah, we'll shoot for that. So for the release of the movie, we don't have a Thanksgiving trailer, because we just re-release an old one, I guess. But for Chimera, what that was on the screen, I don't know if it was altogether clear, but what there was on the screen was the three or four storybook ideas from Silly Trek and Star Trek on Location and the original Star Trek Chimera from back in the day, and the movie from the movie script that was also turned into a novel form, related to the backstory stuff from the game. I also have created a lot of the character generator and some of the character ideas. I'm going to change those story elements for the characters. It's kind of a world building thing. I made another story that was sort of a crossover kind of thing, and I'm going to do that with this one too, because I want to use the neat ideas that are going on in the story, but not as a Star Trek story, as it's sort of an independent thing. So, because we can't use it on the game, it's just not usable on the game. So all you need to know from the game will be revealed on the website and the blog site, what you can do in the game and play on it. There's a couple of other people who are producing fan games now and RPGs, and there is a actual legitimate Star Trek RPG dice roll game coming out as well, called Star Trek Adventures. That's not us. We just came out here to say that's not us either. So there's 2 or 3 other people doing licensed ones, and some people not doing unlicensed ones. And now the caveat with unlicensed material is that you cannot get paid for it. You cannot make a profit on it. The Chimera, the video game, will the online thing will be more of a playthrough. Originally, we will have me playing through, I'm assuming, episodes, short ones. They probably won't be that long. They'll probably be on the one of the other channels. More on the main. They'll probably be on the Chimera channel with the movie, I would imagine, because that would be easiest to just put it on the Chimera channel with the movie. Then you don't need to necessarily explain away what it is. You just say world building. We're playing this game. Yeah. Sort of a spin-off of the movie. It's fine. We have not yet got permission, being not an official studio. Since we're not a studio, we really can't have a 503 form, because we're not really. We're a couple of guys doing a Star Trek parody in their basement, basically, or in this case, attic, and second floor. And there's it's not an attic; it's the second floor, but yeah, there's nothing to write Paramount about at this point. Once the movie is finished, we could get permission from the Paramount people and say, well, we're these two guys that made a fan film and with some of our friends, and okay, what do we do from there? But yeah, so it'd be cool. The playthrough thing will be cool because I've always wanted to do that and have that going on. I've always wanted to have like a return to that game. Well, for 11 years or so, and do that again. So yeah, it's possible that there will be stuff in probably not this year. It's probably going to be a little later, probably when the movie comes out. Maybe sooner, maybe later, because it might cause some brand confusion. Even though there's no sale of anything, it still might cause brand confusion. The game takes place 6 years after the movie. All you do is know that. The crew has changed a little bit in the game. They've grown beyond their. Well, we can't give away what the plot of the movie is, but basically, Locarno and Isri are Locarno. Those are Star Trek names, but their Silly Trek names are different. They've gone on to do something else, and they've come back. But it's not about that ship. It's about this other ship. Anyway, it's about the Megaverse. They commanded by a lady commander who is bi. She's bisexual. Sounds a little bit like another show called Discovery, but it's not. We had come up with this April Fool's thing last April, where we came up with this Megaverse ship and some of the crew and stuff like that. And now looking at the Chimera characters and the Cillians and what they do and how they act, how much of the Cillians would be involved, how much of the Overlords would be involved, their nemesis, how much would the board be involved. Basically just came to the conclusion that because we used the board, our space zombie characters, our Borg analogs, that we'd done it to death, and we wouldn't be doing that this time, that they would be in something else. Could use the Overlords, but sparingly. But let's do something different. We have the action figures, so we can't go beyond what was actually made in the 90s. But we can do stuff, not so much time travel. I like the idea of Chimera, which was a mistake that we just used anyway, where all the generations are together in the same year, same timeline. That way, no time travel. They're in the same year. They're in 2393, roughly. That's this year in Star Trek TNG, and they basically do their thing. So you could have episodes that take place earlier, too, but it's probably not a good idea. Why not make it now? Unlike Discovery wants to shoehorn itself into being about 2255 before the Abrams universe. This is deliberately trying not to do that. To shoehorn itself in before the events of Star Trek Online. But it's not related to online. Chimera might play online eventually. We don't have a console. We got the computer, but we don't have a console game thing. But yeah, the game will not be that difficult to follow. It won't be that confusing. Won't have all that time travel and retcons and things like that. It'll just be a straight up thing. The cool thing about that idea is that if we can wing it. We have Comic-Con Silicon Valley next summer, and that's followed in a few weeks afterward by Fanime 2017. And we will be at Fanime 2017, absolutely. And they have a video gaming area, so we will have a live episode there. I don't know if that'll go online though, but it's just unfortunate because there's other music playing in the background. But we will have an episode, so we get an exclusive to go to that episode. That's pretty awesome. So yeah, that could happen. Totally could we could do that. Comic-Con Silicon Valley was formerly Big Wow. Baycon is probably not going to be back. So yeah, just fan of me. So yeah, fortunate. So Baycon's not going to be back. But there is the potential possibility that even though Baycon isn't back, that we could have, we could do the gaming anywhere, really. We could set up these little Star Trek sort of fan things. They are Star Trek things, but we're just calling it Starship to avoid copyright confusion. It's not paid, so we could say, for example, we could have an episode that takes place. Film it at the in front of the coffee shop at church, and we do like an episode there. There would be music in the background, so we couldn't actually show it, but we could do that, and yeah, we could totally and that would be cool. We could do stuff like that. There's lots of things we could pull off. Yeah, mainly the websites would probably be the best place. Trying to figure out what the venues would be, and also the other stuff was, Brown Productions. It's not really a company. Yeah. After Dad passed away, then Mom took over the stuff. Like the seller's account. Stuff like that. Actually, she didn't use it at all. The eBay account. It was mostly me using it, so I reinstated it. So the eBay account is back. I haven't used it yet, but I did use it to buy. I did use the PayPal to buy a Cubs shirt, Chicago Cubs shirt. So that's working again. Netflix is working again. We have half the stuff up and running again. The books. We keep. It's been a year since we said we were going to put the books out. We've met with some other people from the cast who have books out, and gave one of them advice on their book thing concerning their YouTube page, doing a play thing. We're not in the play. I went to that. Mark's Cards was not involved in that. And anyway, he was involved in the possibility of putting the books back out and new stories as well. I had accumulated all my short stories from one blog and made them into one cohesive novel. I put them all together, so they're like all in the same universe, which was an interesting task. 6 months in the making there. Also, there was this Chimera thing, which is just kind of its own fun thing. It's not too serious. It's like Starcrackers-y. A little more serious than Starcrackers, but not as serious as Distant Destinies. So somewhere in between. I will be re-releasing Distant Destinies, Adam Brown book. Mark Scards under his real name, John. And I will be releasing the Starcrackers, and as soon as we can get a publisher that will take it. And we'll see. Amazon's rules are not that bad. So we may go with them, at least with the online books idea. So my stuff is coming out with their real names and stuff that isn't with the real names, like the stoner comedy. but yeah, and Silly Kelly had joked that he wanted to do an actual Teddy Ruxpin movie thing. I don't know how he. Well, okay, but I think that was more of a joke. But you never know. I mean, an April Fool's joke last April led to Star Trek Locations, the game. So it could happen. Anything's possible. It'd be a riot if it was a sketch. But yeah. So what else? Lots of other things. Yeah, the Star Trek, the game, I had done some dates on that. We know some more about Discovery, the new Star Trek. But it's nothing you don't already know off the net, so we don't need to cover it. Yeah. Yeah, and shout out to Trek Yards for finding that information. And scooping it. And also, yeah, we don't have any ship model footage ready for Trek Yards. But once the Chimera movie comes out, it's clearly a Star Trek parody, and the website set up, it's free, then I can contact the Trek Yards people and say, yeah, do the Chimera, that would be cool, and do the Megaverse. They'll be all, oh yeah, well that's cool, okay. Sure, why not? Yeah, so they probably wouldn't, but maybe, I mean, a balsa wood ship is kind of an interesting idea, so maybe it is for fun. But yeah, it is a Star Trek thing. We're just calling it Starship to avoid the copyright thing. To avoid the rules. The guidelines said nothing about changing the title and some of the characters around and saying that it's not Star Trek, even though it clearly is doing business as, yeah. It just says it isn't Star Trek. It's not doing business. It's like, that's an expression. It's doing, yeah. It's unpaid business. Yeah. So we're not associated with the 3 or 4 games that are coming out. And no, we don't know when Excalibur is coming out. There's that one trailer they have, but we had a few trailers up too. We had taken those trailers and the world building stuff down because it was no longer relevant from last year. It wasn't because necessarily a copyright thing. It was that they weren't, relevant anymore. But we left the silly Trek stuff up there, which was sort of an update of that anyway. And Star Trek Meets on Location was also mentioned. The whole thing, but you don't need to know all those minutiae details. It's much more fun to have just say, okay, here's a platform story with rolling dice. You have or something to that effect. You have a playing field. You're a starship commander or whatnot, and you're out flying a starship. You're going to a planet. Here's what you're going to do. You're on your way team. Do your thing, strategy, whatever. That sounds more fun than doing a first-person shooter to me. Just doing a thing, maybe an Alien Contact story or something. Something they do. That's the fun of the science fiction story, is coming up with new and different things. And if something comes up that's really, really cool, I'll write it. I'll make a story out of it, and it'll be put out eventually. Unlike the movie, which took almost, we started we did that early preliminary thing, December 6th, 2006. The first footage that was shot of the first early script with Brian. That was actually nearly 10 years ago. The movie actually started production in 2011. Then we shot about 40 minutes of it, and which would amount to a third of it, less than a third of it, really less than a third of it. And then we had to start over in 2012. So technically, it's 4 years in the making, almost 5. So Chimera has been long in coming, and the sets are falling apart. So if there was a new series, we'd have to rebuild a third of the sets because they're falling apart. We did not expect it to have to stay together for 10 years, or 5 in this case. We would rebuild some of the sets for the show. It would be on the fly like the Trans Tech. We would do our thing. So, running out of battery. Anyway, that's pretty much it. So yeah, we would do that. We would make episodes. It could happen. Not saying it will, it could. Okay. Dead. The battery was going dead, but suffice it to say, what I was just coming up with was world building for the game. So this would go on, I guess, Yeah, there were some other updates I watched. They weren't very good, so I just had to do them over. So that's basically what's going on. Is it would have the opportunity of, if there was a particularly good taping of a story idea, if it came up with something really cool, you know, then we would fast track it to the KTS studios. That studio, which is just me, sometimes marked cards, and we would do like the Transtech thing, and we would say, okay, we're going to film this episode. I'm going to shoot it. It's going to be an episode of the game done as an actual Star Trek. Well, not a starship. Um, and yeah, so we could totally do that. Yeah, we would just do it. Maybe the dialogue would be cheesy, maybe real short. I would imagine they'd be short. They'd be vignettes. Even though the guidelines, which are way too stringent, the guidelines say you can only have 3 episodes. Yeah, but what if it's called Starship and doesn't really look like Star Trek? It just uses action figures. Well, there's nothing that says anything about that. So, yeah. It's like, yeah, then it's a parody. And you're basically saying, okay, this is a spoof. It's obviously not the real thing. It's not going to be paid in any way. So you could do other stuff with that. You'd probably be. I haven't officially made any arrangements yet, but I would not be surprised if the stories were somehow involved. Maybe some of those other Star Trek Chimera cast members. Hey, wait a minute, is that still going on? Can we play that? Well, yeah, we're going to do a new game. Well, let's do that. We might have some interesting appearances. That could happen. Scott or somebody, you know. Yeah, there's any number of things and ideas. Oh, yes, and there is a toy show, Super Toy show. We haven't been to one in like 8 months. I was not able to meet with Tim this month, but I suspect that we will be meeting at that toy show. Super Toy show coming up. We'll have more announcements later on when it happens, near where it happens. And we will interview Tim, one of the Starcrackers stars. There were 4 of us on the set during being on film in that Starcrackers movie, 1992, and then 2005, and some other shootings. Stories. So there was sort of a Star Trek-like spoof, Starcrackers, and parody. And Tim played 3 or 4 characters, just like we all played 3 or 4 characters, because we had no other cast members at that point. So yeah, because even the martial arts school people didn't want to really be in it. They didn't know what it was about. They're, oh, what's that? But at the time, so the. Yeah, Tim was one of the main characters from the original cast of Silly Track, actually. So, yeah, and Jim, yeah, I heard from him recently on the subject of the Marvel movies and Doctor Strange, which he liked. Yeah, so he's still around. He may have an appearance on the Calcat show. And he'll definitely be in the game, I would imagine. He'd probably be a bad guy because he likes playing the villain. He's like, as long as you blow up the Federation in that one. So we already did that like 3 or 4 times. But Tim would be, oh no, the Federation must be saved by the Q-like being. Anyway, so. There you go. Yeah, Starship Locations coming out probably right after that movie. February. Yeah, it's not quite ready yet. I made it sound like it was ready. No, it's not. I have to work out the gameplay and how that would work. Is it a board? Is it like a board game kind of thing? Is it some kind of a set? What is it? And then can it be lugged around and opened and played with at any location? Because that would You could even use the format of a actual Star Trek board game, and you're just basically doing. You could do it the Champions way, you know, the board game. Kind of like, okay, this is a Risk game, but we're playing Star Trek with it, or something like that. Well, you could do the Champions way, which would be like you design crew cards and stuff like that, and you have like cards, the games and stuff, and free, of course. And everyone sort of plays the characters. That could also work. Some kind of app thing, I suppose. Anyway, so yeah, it's a game. It could be exciting. Anime as well, and yeah. What's funny is Clint Cowpoke in this Clint Cowpoke video is wearing the Star Trek top as the cowboy guy. Just bizarre. Okay. Nobody noticed that. I'm sure he did it on purpose. So, yeah. Well, it is the 50th anniversary of Star Trek, and unlike the Paramount people, who are struggling to even come up with cool ideas, well, they did do the movie Beyond, but they really weren't thinking of it at the time. They had to think of it later. Not a lot of marketing. Some other, smaller companies have done some of the ship models and stuff, which is cool. But they should have Playmates should re-release all the action figures, because that would be cool. Because Playmates has re-released the Turtle action figures, they totally could re-release the Star Trek ones, all of them, and make some new ones for the new crew. But apparently they couldn't get a deal with Hasbro. Some of the model people did get a deal, and they're doing stuff. We don't, so don't come after us. We don't have a deal. Yeah. So, anyway, that's pretty much it. Just a little add-on there, just to tell you that was pretty much that. So, yeah, the movie has to come out before the game. That would make sense. It can't come out. Game can't come out earlier. There could be early versions of it in the preliminary stages. You had to get a cast. If you don't have a cast, you can't play a game by yourself. Well, I could, but that'd be a little weird. But yeah, role playing. We're always doing role. Cat Show is a reality TV show role playing thing anyway. So it's its own thing. So. Anyway, yeah. So this is the update. Signing off.